Okay, so we are now approaching College Roundabout from St Mark's. And as we can just see from the marker board, we need to be in the other lane. So I'm checking mirror and shoulder very actively before signalling and moving the car over. So, as the route board has advised us, the left-hand lane is a dedicated left-hand turn to Southampton, the A36 Southampton. So we need to be approaching for the 12 o'clock exit, the straight ahead exit towards Bournemouth. We need to be in this right-hand lane. As you can see, we are now crawling in traffic. We're doing 3 miles an hour. So it's highly likely that motorbikes will want to filter through the centre and make a little bit more progress. So it's extremely important that we are 3-mirror scanning constantly as we're moving in this section. And also be aware other people might suddenly realise, people in lane 1 might suddenly realise they've made an error when they get to maybe the white paint marking just here under the silver van there. There's a first sort of dedicated left-hand lane arrow, so people may be looking to change lanes. On a day like today, it is a little bit of give and take. We all make mistakes, so if we can, within reason, help people out, it keeps everybody relaxed in their journey and safe. So again, constantly scanning as we move the car forward. Now the heavies are really blocking much of our advanced view of the roundabout itself, but what we can start to see is obviously the car is emerging from the right. We've got a reasonably clear view of that. Just scanning my mirrors again as we're moving. What you will be able to see as we get a little bit closer is that there's actually a yellow box junction directly in front of us. And that is intended for days just like today when traffic is heavy, to hold the traffic coming from our right. So obviously we should be giving priority to cars from our right. However, if their exit into the A36 is full, so it's blocked, they've got nowhere to go, the yellow box junctions should hold them and keep our lane clear, so we are able to flow straight across and get this traffic moving. So that's the objective and the purpose of that yellow box junction. Just need to be very careful around here and make sure we've got eye contact with any driver before moving. Beware of flashing headlights, which is a common convention, but the highway code, rule 112 is very, sorry, 111 even, is very clear on that point. Eye contact with that driver in the silver car. Just noting now, as I put my left-hand signal on, there is a protected lane. That solid, very fat, solid line is a protected lane, so we mustn't cross that because cars coming up from the left, from Southampton A36, don't have to give way there. So we have to exit as we did into lane 2 before then moving over. We're now approaching Exeter Street roundabout, and our intention is to turn left first exit. So centre mirror, left mirror, confirmed A338. In the speed phase now, so we're on the brakes in 3rd gear, looking for our gap, checking the Golf ahead of us is gone, and the gap has just closed, so we're going to have to come to a pause, take a rolling 1st gear before proceeding. Our intention is to remain in lane 1, and as the route board now tells us, this is the correct lane for Bournemouth A338. Looking ahead, the traffic lights, first set of traffic lights are just changing to green, so I'm trying to keep momentum in the car, come off the gas, trying to keep it flowing without bringing it to a halt, taking a lower gear. Got to manage our separation gap as well, but by taking that lower 2nd gear, we can continue at 13 miles an hour up the hill. Pedestrian has just pressed the light, so there's a chance that's going to change. She's on her telephone and is controlling her dog, so quite a lot going on in her world. Let's check we don't come into conflict. Now this exit isn't traffic light controlled. The one to our right is, but there are no lines here and those traffic lights don't apply to this, so we just flow round. Looking ahead now to the BP forecourt and the Toucan crossing, which is currently green. You can see there the bicycle and the red pedestrian pictograms defining that as a Toucan crossing. Two types of classes of road user, pedestrians and mounted cyclists can use that crossing. Scaling ahead through the next set of traffic lights. So take second gear now as we're down at about 16 miles an hour, managing the separation gap. We don't want to run into the back of the car ahead, but we have managed to keep momentum in the car, which is much more fuel efficient than bringing it to a stop and having to move its mass and overcome the inertia to get it moving again. So much more fuel efficient if we can, without inconveniencing anybody else, to keep the car rolling. As I said, the A338 is quite a heavy trunking route for heavy vehicles, and as you can feel and probably see, there's quite a lot of rutting. Those heavy goods vehicles over time run ruts into the road surface, and then you can see their deterioration of the road surface. If at all possible, we gently move the car to avoid those sort of road damage. Our intention is to turn right into the park and ride. Centre mirror, right signal and shoulder, moving the car into the right hand lane, dedicated right hand lane, and waiting for our filter arrow. So the ahead only arrow, to be very clear, when it's an arrow rather than a solid green circle, that relates only to people going straight ahead. So we must wait at the line until we have our dedicated arrow filter for the dedicated right hand turn. So we're now entering the park and ride car park. Clear, as the sign says, this is Britford Park and Ride on the A338. As with all car parks, we must observe the low speed limit and the arrowed direction of flow indicated. So the speed limits in car parks are low because obviously you've got a volume of traffic, some of it trying to do reversing maneuvers where visibility is not good, and we also have a high volume of pedestrians coming back or leaving their cars. So for those reasons, car park speed limits are always very low, and we should observe them and treat all, so give way signs here, for example, treat all road markings as you would in any other environment. And be constantly vigilant. There are often, through the hedges, whilst it's a quiet day today, there are often pedestrian rat runs. So unofficial routes through hedges, and so particularly when you're reversing your car, people will suddenly emerge from apparently nowhere. There'll be a route through a hedge. So observations are crucial in summary. Now we're looking to exit the car park and head back towards the city centre. So we've got a first sign there telling us that will be to the left. Important to notice that the lane to our left is a bus lane only, and it's segregated by a continuous solid white line. But we know our intention is going to be to turn left at these traffic lights. So checking the mirrors and signalling. That's confirmed by the green signs directly in front of us. Lights are changing, 3 mirrors scanned, shoulder check just to the left in case a bus is coming through. And we then go out wide into lane 2, avoiding the bus lane. As this blue sign advises us, the inside lane is for buses, motorcycles, cycles and taxis. Those are the categories of road user who are permitted to be in that lane, and we must not use that lane, and we must not cross the solid white line. Now that last point becomes highly relevant as we get a little bit closer, because the bus lane continues until just before you get to Harnham Junction. But if you are turning left to Blandford, or taking effectively the second left towards Laverstock Market, you will need to be moving over and using the left-hand lane. But you must not do that until this continuous white line comes to an end and the bus lane comes to an end. However, it is not uncommon, or what should I say, it is very common to see other motorists not adhering to those rules and crossing the line early. So it is imperative that if you are turning left, you check your left mirror and shoulder very actively before moving the car across. You see the bus lane still continues here. Still bus lane, we still shouldn't be crossing it, just giving space to this cyclist. But so if we were turning left, which we are not on this occasion, or going straight ahead to Laverstock Market, now is the time you could legitimately move your car across. Just giving space to this cyclist.